Hello and welcome everybody. I'm back. My computer temporarily fixed and see how long it lasts. Anyway, thank you for being very patient with me. I know I missed my interview with Councillor Jefferson Tilsley. Uh, we have been talking today and we will look to set up an interview as soon as possible. Um, I've got lots to talk about today, but this is just a quick test to see if everything's working on my computer correctly before I start doing these interviews again. Anyway, oh yeah, got my new shirt come through. Lovely, I'm enjoying it. It's a t-shirt that actually finally fits me. Good. Anyway, we'll start today with the sad and recent events that have happened with the unfortunate tragedy of the killing of Sir David Amis, MP. This is not what we want in British politics. No politician should have to suffer in a way that he suffered and his family are now going through, and his friends. My condolences goes out to everybody who knew Sir David Amis and his family. You are in our thoughts, and unfortunately things like this bring the country together, but we shouldn't be going through this. This is the second Member of Parliament in the last 5 years now. Fortunately, Joe Cox, another MP, was killed, and this should be in no way what politics about. People are there representing you, whether you agree with them or not. They're there, and they're doing the jobs for the public, whether you agree with how they do it or what they do it. Voice your opinions by all means. Don't abuse MPs, don't abuse councillors, don't abuse Senate members or anybody who, yes, a lot of them are paid, but they are giving up and putting themselves on the line to make this country a better place, whether you agree or not. Also, it was announced last week that one of our own has sadly passed away, Councillor Phil White of Kyra. My thoughts go out to his family, his friends and colleagues who all knew him and worked with him since he was elected in 2008, I believe it was. It brings home that life is very fleeting at times, and yes, we're in a pandemic, and I believe Councillor White did pass away from COVID related symptoms, so we're still not out of the pandemic. I urge everybody to get a vaccine and the booster when it comes, if you're offered it. Yes, I put things on the political page recently about it should be a personal choice, and yes, I believe in personal choice, but I still would encourage everybody to get it. Anyway, this is what I'm going to be talking about mostly today, which will be the recent report from the Wales Audit Office into community councils. I'm going to be focusing more on Anesaldra and Llangannoedd Middle Community Council, which a lot of you will have seen what's gone on with the former clerk Natalie Morgan. I in no way in Anesaldra is any of the councillors or the clerk there now responsible for what happened previously. There are no councillors on Anesaldra at this time that were there previously during the years of Natalie Morgan. Llangannoedd Middle, I'm not sure, so I don't know. Now, the Wales Audit Office report was very, very critical of the council and of Natalie Morgan and what's gone on. It's a long report. There's 42 pages. There's a lot to digest. I haven't got through it all yet. But the upshot is, between the two community councils that Natalie Morgan was clerk of, £113,000 went missing into her and her husband's accounts, according to the report. It blames the councils for not being more diligent, which is fair enough. They need to share the blame, the councillors who were there at the time of all this going on. I find it incredible that the police are refusing to take this any further, to prosecute, regardless of the report coming out that says that she has illegally transferred this money. Whether it's the police, I don't blame the rank file. The decisions are made higher up by the higher up managers and police chiefs, and probably the Crown Prosecution Service as well. This is public money, and it goes on the trust of everybody, and it paints community councils in a bad light, which I'm trying to highlight is not the case on this channel. With this page, with Bridgend Political Hour, community councils, a lot of them, the majority of them, do fantastic work in their community. And not long ago, Newcastle Higher Community Council transferred the field next to the Pheasant Inn into their ownership from Bridgend County Borough Council, so that they could maintain it, look after it, and that. This is great. This is what a lot of community councils do. They also provide life-saving equipment like defibrillators across the county, and it's a big push at the moment, putting them out, and they're popping up everywhere. So don't take what happens by a minority of community councils as, oh, that's what that's what they do. They steal money, they take money, the councillors are paid all this money. They're not. Community councillors are offered a remuneration of £150 a year. It works out to roughly about £2 on a week, something like that. That's to cover phone calls, using internet or research, talking to constituents, or even attending a meeting, or even meetings like One Voice Wales or Bridgend Town Community Councils in Bridgend council offices. Not every councillor takes the remuneration they're offered. The majority of councillors say no, and it keeps it, and that money just stays within the budget of the councils. But it's good that this has come out, but we have to think, would this have come out not for certain residents in Anisauda, the Anisauda Elderly Residents Association fought this for years. They noticed that the public spending was by the community council in Anisauda, something was wrong, that money was disappearing and there was no accountability for it. And they contacted the police, they contacted the community council, and even were threatened with arrest. Miss Natalie Morgan called the police on these residents when they tried to attend a public meeting. So, and they put in numerous complaints to the council, and private solicitors were hired by Natalie Morgan at the time. And I remember letters were sent to the elderly residents, please stop doing this, it's harassment, and these are vexatious complaints, which obviously they're not, as we find out now that they're not vexatious complaints. At the time, Bridgend County Borough Council didn't want to know. The elderly residents banged their head against the wall with them. They contacted the Welsh Audit Office on numerous occasions. Originally, they didn't want to know, and it was only, I think, after the highlighting of the police being called at a public meeting that Welsh Audit Office got involved. Now, I want to talk about the Welsh Audit Office. They are there to scrutinise what community councils do. Every year, community councils have to go through an audit. They have to employ an outside private registered auditor to audit the accounts and how the council work. Then the council have to get that signed off and then submitted to the Welsh Audit Office. My question is why did it take 5 years for the Welsh Audit Office to see that there was something wrong, and that was only after residents' complaints? So, while they're critical of community councils and the councillors that have done wrong, and they should be held accountable, whoever these councillors are, and the clerks of these councils, if they do wrong, if they misappropriate public funds, they should suffer the consequences. And that's why I can't believe that police haven't progressed this any further and are not going to progress this any further in regards to Natalie Morgan. It seems to be a case, somebody's stolen public money, who cares, let's continue on, let the council try and recover the money through civil action, which they won't be able to do. It'll be highly improbable, to do. And it shouldn't be left to community councils to recover the funds. It should be the police, the Crown Prosecution Service that prosecute these people and say, no, we're not going to tolerate you misappropriating public funds or stealing public funds or committing fraud. That's what they're there for. And just because it's public money doesn't make it any less important. It should make it more important. At the time when this was going on, I was living in Bryn Melyn, so I was a resident of the Anesaldra area that was covered by the community council, and that was mine and my father's council precept that had been stolen there. So yes, I'm aggrieved, but it shouldn't be. But I think the Wales Audit Office, as I said before, needs to be held to account as well. Why are they not picking up problems like this? 5 years that had gone on at Anesaldra and Llangonoedd Middle, and whatever has happened in other places around Wales that have been highlighted in the report. Why are they not picking up on this sooner when you're doing an audit every year? This should be. The Welsh Audit Office came into fruition on April 1st, 2005. So it's been around 7 years before before all this happened in Anesaldra. I will be speaking to Councillor Tim Thomas of Anesaldra and I believe current chair of Anesaldra Community Council about this report soon in an interview. I will stress in no way, shape or form was he involved or anybody on the council now in Anesaldra involved. But there are a lot of questions that were raised, and it would be good to speak about what procedures have been put in place to make sure this doesn't happen again. But the Welsh Audit Office was not critical of itself in any way. Why haven't they picked up what has gone on over that 5 years between 2012 and 2017? That's a lot of money to be stolen from community councils that have had quite one of the lowest precepts in the county anyway. They had low precepts anyway. And it was not that she just took money or transferred money. When HSBC closed its bank closed the branch in Maesteg, she created 2 accounts for Anesaldra and Llangonoedd Middle in her name. Nobody else's name, in her name, which she can't do it anyway. So that's fraudulent. And there are payments on there that claim that made payments to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs, but they didn't go to them, they went straight to her account, to her personal bank account. So does that land either Anasauda or Llangonaid into problems with Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs? What is the outcome there? Will Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs go after her for doing that? Whether they can or not, I don't know. Whether it be the community councils that are liable for that, I do not know. But there seems to be, just from this report, that there's enough evidence to suggest that the police could go forward and prosecute, or the Crown Prosecution Service could. But there doesn't seem to be that willingness to do it. But I think they should, because community councils across Wales now are getting a bad name because of this, and people will question, even in the areas where you've got fantastic community councils, people will question, is it worth it? And at the end of the day, these are the only public bodies, governance, that can be taken away by a vote of the public. You can't take away a county council, no matter what they do. The same with the Senate or the Parliament. You can't take them away. You can change who's in charge, but you can't take them away, whereas parish councils, community councils or town councils, you can. So there's a lot to digest there, and I'm looking forward to talking to Councillor Thomas further about this, and we'll go more in depth there. But I want to counter what was said today about community council from the Welsh Audit Office and bring a bit of good news from Coity Hire. Now, they had a meeting Thursday. I was unable to attend. I was going to be travelling early hours of that morning, so I was asleep, wanted to be asleep, and because I was leaving at 3 a.m, I was asleep at that time, so I sent my apologies that I couldn't make the meeting. Excuse me, my mouth is dry. A lot has happened in that community council meeting, but there's one thing I wanted to highlight particularly. I've got it on my phone. It's transfer of an area of land that includes a play park and some open space, and I'll just share it on my screen now where I'm talking about. Here in Jocelyn Terrace, just outside Park Derwent Estates, Llanmore developers have agreed to transfer that piece of land with the park, which they will do a nice clean up of the park before any transfer goes through to the community council in Coity Hire, and that will be transferred to the council. So it'll be the council's responsibility to look after the play park, to look after the area, clean and tidy, and that's nice. That's good work. It's bringing a piece of area into keeping it within the community. It doesn't get transferred to Bridgend County Borough Council from the developers. It gets transferred to the community council, so the community council will do what is required and keep it nice for the area. It's a nice little play park there, but it'll be getting a good clean up. So that's good news from a community council. And this is what I'm saying about community councils. They do a lot of good work, and it seems to be unnoticed a lot of the time. It's not highlighted like the bad things in the national press or in the local press. It's pushed to one side. Instead of celebrating the good work, they focus on the negative, and the negative gets wider attention, a wider thing. So this is what this channel was for. It was to highlight good things that community councils are doing, or the county council even. That's why I invite local councillors on from various community councils and the county council to highlight the good work that's doing, and to talk about the negatives and how we can improve and how we can do better. But it'd be good to speak to more. I'm looking forward to speaking to Councillor Tilsley Councillor Tim Thomas, and I've got a few more. I'll have MP Jamie Wallace on at some point soon. We've spoken today via chat, and he's busy this week, and he's going to try and make some time for me next week to do the interview, which would be fantastic news. And we could talk on a more national level and how MPs will help. It can help more at the local level than just guiding on the national level. I've had some fantastic interviews recently with Councillor Bledsoe, Alex Williams, Martin Williams, Tom Gifford, Senedd member, Ian Spiller, and Amanda Williams. There's been some fantastic interviews and hopefully more to come. I will be doing interviews with prospective candidates for the next election, because some of them are starting to pop up now with perspectives, so I'll try and talk to them, but it'll be that obviously they won't be as friendly as the current interviews, because the current interviews are about what they're doing now, not what they're going to be doing. And I think you should be questioned more on what you're going to do if you're asking the public to put their faith in you and vote for you in next year's elections. So, as I said, thank you for listening. This is a little test to see if my computer's working as well as I want it to be. And my thoughts and prayers do go out to MP Sir David Amis and Councillor Phil White's families in this hard times, and I hope people will give them the respect they're due and offer their condolences at the same time. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye, and I'll see you again soon.